Okay, let's get ready to resume, if you would all, please.
Okay, I have 6 names here. Eric Appel, Ronaldo Diaz, Anthony Reyes, Elizabeth Murray, Raymond Penuela, and Michelle Hendricks. We have those 6.
Hello, Eric Appel, Palm Beach resident, 13756, 88th Place North, in the acreage. I hear light industrial cast around. Sounds real glamorous. Does that, by the way, have like hours of operation?
Good question. Can you answer that, Ms. Hernandez?
Every site in the county has hours of operation. This one is allowed to operate 24 hours.
Are you all in the power and ability to make amendments to change?
Suggest them if you'd like.
I suggest light industrial be sun up to sundown. This Operation Project Tango is going to be 24/7, high decibels. Doesn't seem like too much to ask. It's going to be right next to a neighborhood, quiet neighborhood that moved out there for the serenity and the peace. During the wintertime, you know, we're Florida residents, like to open up the house. It's nice, quiet. So, let's say it's wintertime, they want to open up their house, let some breeze through, they're going to hear boo. That's not very nice or anything like that. So I'd like you to think high industrial for a facility like Project Tango that runs 24/7, loud fans. These fans are going to be approximately 90 feet in the air, 600 of them. That's just something to consider. I do have a sound that I'd like you to hear. This is 2 o'clock in the morning. This is an AI data center. I don't know if you can hear it. That's not peaceful. It's not nice. That's what this neighborhood's going to have to endure. You know,
Where is that from, sir, that you played that recording?
I got this from a friend.
Or where is it from? No, what is it a recording of? You said AI data center.
I believe this is the FPL plant. A couple of weeks ago, they had their generators running.
Okay.
And it's not going to, that's quieter than what they're proposing. They're saying 50 decibels. I hear that they're looking to expand it to 60 for Project Tango. And, you know, Ernie Cox had a little diagram up there. It showed the sound waves that go this direction. Sound is like when you throw a stone in a pond, goes 360 degrees. When it's higher, it travels further. The power plant, the FPL, I believe their smokestacks maybe 70 feet in the air, and it's further away than the proposed data center. By a good bit, probably another 1,000 feet. 1,500 feet from the school, 24/7, young kids trying to get an education. It's going to be very distracting. Kids with special needs, perhaps, it might be terrible for them. Just like you to take that in consideration. Thank you.
Elizabeth Holmes.
Hello, I'm Ronaldo Diaz, founder of Lake Worth Waterkeeper, advocate for Lake Worth Lagoon and its watershed. I've also done a number of other things. I've known Everglades advocate for well over a decade, and Everglades is always, the entire system, whether it's Kissimmee River down to Florida Bay, it's persistently under threat from development. And in my over a decade of doing this work, there hasn't been a project that has been more egregiously reckless in compromising Everglades restoration efforts. This project's proposed site is directly at the single point, the only source of water that we can send clean water south into those stormwater treatment areas, into the refuge, eventually making its way down to Florida Bay. This is so important that both the state and federal government has spent over hundreds of billions with a B dollars in the largest, most complicated and human engineering project ever attempted on planet Earth. This issue is so important that it really is truly one of the very few, and believe me, these days it's an extremely few handful of truly bipartisan issues. Because Everglades restoration is so important. It's more than just wildlife. It's more than just sending water around. This connection is so critical in maintaining a system that protects all of us and maintains a healthy South Florida. This juncture is connected not only to the southern Everglades, but through the M Canal is connected to Clear Lake eventually, which is also the surface water source for West Palm Beach and their water customers, several 100,000 people who need that for drinking water. I have documented personally major cyanobacteria blooms, including the one in 2021, which contaminated West Palm Beach's drinking water supply, where if you remember, if you live in West Palm or on the island of Palm Beach, their customers, you were told for well over a week that you could not drink that water because it was contaminated with cylindrospermopsin. That happens because of nutrient pollution, phosphorus and nitrogen, and also hot water. This data center, or data centers all across the board, they're known to raise water temperatures around their cooling system. The record you have ahead of you is not complete. You need to demand a comparative study, and what you'll find is that these centers, when they're proposed in other areas of the country, what you'll find is a record that of broken promises, of detrimental harm to the environment and the community. I sent a report through Mr. Eubanks. You would have received it. I hope you read that because that outlines its position in the watershed and the preliminary threats and the questions that you all need to be asking before you can make this decision. This is far from a light industrial use, and the only course of action in this is to deny the application. Thank you.
Ben Brown.
Hello, my name is Anthony Reyes, and I live on 1231 Arrowhead Point Road in Loxahatchee. I feel that the energy in the room is low, so real quick, I want to give up a few seconds of my time so you all can give yourselves a round of applause.
No, sir, please, that's not appropriate. Okay, that doesn't help us, all right? I understand why you're doing it, but please just address us.
Fair enough. It's been a long few hours, so I just want to serve as a reminder to the commission of exactly what they should be asking Ernie during his time and cross-examination. The details regarding the noise study and how they conveniently predicted their own noise levels seems like a conflict of interest to me. The low-frequency vibrational hum that's undetected by the study that is performed. Those are still questions that have been left unanswered. The concerns regarding the heat island produced that would extend beyond the borders of their zoning. The concerns regarding pollution from the water used to cool these systems. I'm sure that once this is built, if for whatever reason they need to add additional generators or they need to do certain things that go beyond the scope of what it is that we're discussing today, they will do it. We are small compared to the power that the political power and the wealth that the companies behind the customers that Ernie represents will be wielding against us. The fees that we and the county would impose on these companies to make sure that they are obligated to stay aligned with what we're expecting of them are just pay-to-play fees for them. You see something similar in the pharmaceutical industry when it comes to litigation, where pharmaceutical companies see litigation fees as just, hey, that's something else that we can just write off. Once this is built, there's no going back. So I strongly, strongly urge you to sit down and consider if beyond a reasonable doubt, you all feel that you fully understand the scope of exactly what it is that's being proposed today. I can guarantee you that most of you don't. The senior engineers behind the minds that create these models don't know how they work either. So thank you. Thank you.
Rachel Smith.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Murray, 100 Paradise Harbor Boulevard, North Palm Beach. I am a retired speech-language pathologist. I have worked with kids in some of the worst schools in this district and some of the best ones. for 36 years. So I wanted to talk about the effect that it does have on children. And first, before I do that, I want to ask if you can please put up a bond so that if anyone gets sick or loses property value, you guys can pay for it, or whoever would pay for it would pay for it, since the insurance companies aren't taking very good care of us. So the impacts on children. The first thing we teach children is, what are your 5 senses? Each and every one of our 5 senses are going to be impacted negatively by this data center. And also I wanted to add that, before I forget this, until we get to the end, I wanted to say, I think it's very ironic how they name streets and neighborhoods after what used to be there, or what will soon be gone, such as Paradise Harbor, Saddle Trail. There won't be any horses left to ride, so they have to name it like former Saddle Trail or Fox Trail. They should name it like Dead Deer Run or No More Panther Lane. So anyway, back to the children. The noise that will be generated from this will impact the children's annoyance factor, their interference with their normal cognitive processing. It's bad for their hearing, all of their other senses, disrupts their communication skills. Oh, I could go on and on for hours, but yeah, this isn't right. You shouldn't do it, period. Thank you.
Pune Sharkian Martinez.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Michelle Hendricks. I live at 821 Southwest 33rd Place, Boynton Beach, Florida. I also volunteer with an organization called the Friends of the Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge, and I respectfully urge the Commission to deny the Project Tango Center application. I agree with the excellent and substantial points that have been made by many of the previous speakers, who also urged the Commission to deny the application. I think it's important to note that there have been no speakers voicing support for the project other than the applicant themselves. I would just like to reinforce these points. As you've heard, there's strong local opposition from nearby communities, environmental groups, and educators, including the Friends of the Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge. Bottom line, this is just the wrong place for this kind of development. It should not be built near neighborhoods, schools, or environmentally sensitive areas. And as has been pointed out, this decision will set a precedent for future development across the county. This decision is about more than one project. It's about protecting a globally important ecosystem for future generations. We ask you to protect our communities, our environment, and our long-term future. Please deny Project Tango application. Thank you.
Wayne Kinzer.
Good afternoon. My name is Raymond Penuela. I live at 1408 Haywagon Trail. I'm on the board for Arden, but I come today as a concerned resident of the county. I just want to really put, and there's a lot of great things that were said here today, but I really want to put a lot of emphasis that you're not voting on Project Tango. You're voting on the precedent to allow a hyperscale AI data center to be built at least within 1,200 feet of any school in any community in the county of all of Palm Beach County, all the way from Palm Beach Gardens, all the way down to Boca Raton, and everything in between. This ruling, this decision, will allow anyone else, any developer, any future developer, current developer, anyone to look at land that they currently own, land that they might purchase in the future, and say, well, we're 1,400 feet away, but you know what? They got 1,200 feet, so that's close enough. We can use this as a great precedent. That's what you're voting on. So your vote, your names, all of you have the gravity to look at this and say, okay, we are going to allow this to be the legal precedent for the county, potentially the state, potentially any other state, to see, if this can be done at 1,200 feet, that's acceptable. That is now also considered implicitly light industrial at AI hyperscale data center. And again, it will be used for future decisions, and it is your choice to allow that. It is not just simply Project Tango. Yes, we have a lot of concerns for Project Tango, AI hyperscale data centers being this close for a lot of very valid reasons. You can make an argument against it, for it, but you are setting the legal precedent to have this be allowed anywhere else. And that is something that is in your power to say, you know what, maybe I don't want to allow that just for anyone else in the state and anyone else around. So it's very concerning. I also want to point out that the technology that's being used today, if you're not familiar, if every 18 months, basically, an AI hyperscale data center server has to be replaced. It needs to get upgraded. The technology used today that you're using to measure the power outage and power usage is not going to be the same by the time they build this. So thank you.
Robert Schaefer.
So I know I came up here before, but I'm actually here for Elizabeth Holmes. She had to leave, and she just wanted me to say that she vehemently opposes this and the Zoning Commission's duty to respect the integrity and the existing neighborhoods. And a supersized data center does not respect the integrity of the Arden community.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Alrighty. Ben Brown, resident of Arden. I guess I'll start off beyond dismayed, disappointed. I stood here back in December, and as a father and a concerned parent, myself and this community have had to do the due diligence that you and your staff should have done to realize how bad this is. I don't know what kind of media you consume or come across, but you'd have to be living under a rock to not realize how horrible these centers are. And if the staff, I don't know how many millions of our tax dollars pay their salaries, if they are so far behind on the code, that is negligence, laziness, whatever else you want to call it. That needs to be updated and reflect the current times. Again, instead of you doing the due diligence, protecting us with my tax dollars, you're making us do that, and it's totally unacceptable. I don't know how many organizations you need to hear from, Classroom Teachers Association, County School Board, over 75 government entities in and around this location, including Wellington, which has great concerns over the equestrian community there, what these heat islands could do, and overall just the reputation. I know you guys care so much about money. As old Ernie there said, all this money coming in. Again, it's going to decimate the tax base in Arden because of property value loss. It's going to hurt Wellington beyond belief. The horses can't sustain or have this type of noise. There's a lot of equestrian in and around us. So if you can't tell by my tone, I would say I highly, highly encourage you to not vote for this and allow this to go forward. And it's shameful it got to this point, and I've had to spend 8 months fighting this when you should have been doing it or directing the staff to do it. And if you watch around the country, as I said with media, those who aren't doing their jobs and doing what we, the people, demand and expect are being replaced. And if you vote for this, the energy that's gone into this, I will ensure I tell anyone and everyone for the county commissioners that will elect the next group that they all know who did what and who voted where. I have 10 more seconds I request here. I would like to read your mission statement of this. Planning and Zoning Building Department helps people of Palm Beach County preserve and create a quality community life through comprehensive planning, responding to changing needs and values of the community, both in the natural and built environments. And here's the key part. I don't know the last time you read it here, but and create opportunities to realize the community's desired vision. Here is the community. I don't know how much more we have to express what our vision is. Do your job. I'm tired of doing it for the last 8 months. Vote the right way. Stop letting that guy over there that
Okay, sir. You know, you don't.
and force you to go certain directions. With that, thank you for the time.
Rachel Smith. I am a resident of the Acreage, 13756 88th Place North, West Palm Beach, 33412. I just want to say, first off, thank you, Commissioner Kennedy, for asking the appropriate questions earlier and giving a little bit of pushback where pushback is needed. Nobody's read the full code today, and I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Heavy industry manufacturing and processing. A facility engaged in manufacturing and or processing that causes or results in the dissemination of dust, smoke, fumes, odor, noise, vibration, light, or other potentially objectionable effects beyond the boundaries on the lot on which the use is conducted shall be considered heavy industry use. Heavy industrial uses can include those that engage in processing, manufacturing, or storage of flammable, hazardous, or explosive materials or products or processes which potentially involve hazardous or commonly recognized offensive conditions. Again, that is so clear that I just don't understand why we're having this argument. I feel like after everything that's been presented today, it's very clear that this is a heavy industrial operation. This is not light industrial. All the effects beyond the property. I have a couple more just questions and things on things that people have said. I've been thinking a lot about this. Why is the wildlife corridor next door part of a buffer? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. That we know that low frequency vibrations affect animals, migration patterns, all of these things. So why is that considered a safe buffer? I'm not quite sure on that. Again, pertaining to the code, back in 2016, hyperscale AI data centers did not exist. They were just light industrial uses, data and server farms, Netflix processing, things like that. Obviously, it's been made very clear today that the code needs to be updated to reflect that hyperscale AI data centers are heavy industrial use, and there are multiple counties across the country that are currently doing that. Another point, back to what Ernie was saying, I don't understand how you're going to put 600 fans inside of a building. That's 600 industrial cooling fans that will sit on top. Those don't go inside. I'm wrapping it up, absolutely. Yeah, and then one last point, warehouses. He didn't talk about that. TPA is suing West Palm Beach right now, or PBA Holdings, sorry, West Palm Beach Logistics, PBA. They are suing them for this warehouse thing. If warehouses in Palm Beach County like this go under an administrative review and are turned into an AI data center, it is going to happen everywhere else in Palm Beach County. We just saw it happen down in Miami. We have a surplus of warehouses sitting empty right now, and this is you guys' time to really set these things in place and protect us. We are the taxpayers, we are the residents, and you guys represent us. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Robert Schaefer, 254 Saratoga Boulevard East, Royal Palm Beach. I do have to say, I have lived here my entire life. I went to Seminole Ridge High School all the way out in Loxahatchee. But I think I'm going to say what I think is on everybody's mind. As Mr. Ernie stated, that this plant, AI data center, warehouse, whatever it is going to be taking 100,000 gallons of water a day. I don't think I have to remind anybody we're in a drought. Pretty much all of America's in a drought. We've been on drought precautions for how long? You can't get, can't even water your front lawn. They're going to be taking around 100,000 gallons of water a day. Sounds a little, scary to me. What else I have is the noise. It's been addressed frequently this past whole meeting with this, all this noise, the fans, the generators, everything, and all we have is a little berm. From what I've seen with the noise report, sound report, doesn't seem very foolproof to me. Not sure about that, but again, the fact that this is going to be right next to a school, 1,400 feet, 1,200 feet, shouldn't be next to a school at all, shouldn't even be next to Arden in the first place. I don't think you would raise your kids next to a toxic waste dump. I don't think you should raise them next to an AI data center. And it's just I really hope that this board of commissioners, that you guys put the people over money, people over corporations. Just really hope you guys choose the right option when it comes to vote on this, and that you do the job that we elected you to do. So I implore you guys to reject this application and any other application regarding it. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Wayne Kinzer. I'm a resident of the acreage, 17045 72nd Road North. I'm also a Florida native and a Palm Beach County native. I was born at Good Samaritan Hospital. I think you need to consider some of the benefits that make Palm Beach County different. Tourism is our main economic driver here, okay? And when you start to play with these things, Lake Okeechobee, the Everglades, a lot of really good points were made today that I think you really need to slow down and take consideration on. It feels to us that this is being rushed through, okay? A few people, the attorney that spoke today raised a valid point. And the attorney said that you guys had the choice to move forward. I would really, really suggest that you slow this down a little bit. I want to reiterate 2 good points that people made today. The additional 1.5 million square feet is a clear indicator that the initial water supply needs, the power, the noise, the environmental impact, those are not accurate. And the availability for them to change those things as things increase is going to happen as the technology increases. You really need to consider that. The initial estimates are downplaying it, right? Again, this is not bringing any real substantial benefit to Palm Beach County residents that I can see. Data centers do not employ a lot of people. That is the whole point. There's roughly 5 to 50 5 employees per 50,000 square feet. This is not going to bring jobs. The jobs that Ernie spoke about are going to be day laborer jobs that are not going to support the people who pay taxes here, okay? It's also important to try to focus on some solutions here, okay? This is not the best use for this place. If you need an AI data center here, why don't somebody consider the old Moroso site? That place is unsellable. It has economic and environmental damage that these guys have the money to fix, and it's in a better place that's not around all these communities. You guys need to demonstrate your leadership and utilize the resources of Palm Beach County and be progressive in this. Nobody has defined these terms. This thing is a hyperscale AI data center. We throw those terms around like we know what they mean, but we don't know what they mean because these are ever-changing things. Why don't you guys tap the brakes on this? Reach out to the other communities that have a hyperscale AI data center, see what the real impact is, and then build a framework around that to support a code that's accurate. The previous speaker was dead on when she read that code. There is nobody in this room, and if the attorney disagrees, I would love to have a conversation offline, how that code could be interpreted that this is a applicable use for that. All of those things that were described are there. Please, please, please do not approve this, or at least delay it so that you can make a more informed decision. Thank you for your time.
This Sharkin Martinez is the last name of the person. Pune is the first name, sort of. That's the last. That person isn't here. Then we're completed with the
We have a
public
couple of cards from people who did not wish to speak. Sorry.
Where's the card? Swearing in. If she came in.
She has the card. All right, may I proceed?
Oh, wait, but have you been sworn in?
Yes, I have. Yeah, she has my card. I
Okay,
apologize.
go ahead.
Okay.
Just state
Thank
your
you.
name and where you live, please.
Tatiana Yaquez, 819 Cindy Circle Lane. I live in the village of Wellington. I'm an attorney, retired from the practice of law, but I did practice for 17 years in the areas of land use and commercial litigation. And I'm also a former member of the Village of Wellington Planning and Zoning Board. So I speak land use, and I understand the procedures here. I'm also a member of the Western Palm Beach Community Alliance. I've had the opportunity to meet with your planning and zoning staff. And I realize that all of you here, the Zoning Commission, are volunteer members here to serve your community, which I greatly appreciate. We really need your help here, commissioners, because we are facing so many uphill battles. And I just want to say, I think our community is amazing. We've all become, not just me, but all of them have become land use experts, environmental experts. They have really educated themselves on what this project entails and have given you so much information for you to consider. But as we're sitting here today, while we're trying to fight this battle, trying to get you to recommend a denial of the application, there are concurrent applications by both of the feuding property owners trying to get administrative approvals to convert 2 million square feet into AI data centers. And the problem is that they think they can do that. And the problem is that your staff has tried to condition this thing to death to make it somehow possible. But as you've heard here today, that shouldn't be possible. There should be no reading of your current code that allows you to go forward with an AI data center, a new type of use on this property. The zoning just doesn't allow it. So what I ask for you to do today is not just really strongly recommend a denial of the application, but as you get into your questioning, really put your planning staff to the test. Really put your legal department to the test to ask them, how can you possibly think that this use should be allowed here, because we need to not just stop this process during the public hearings of expanding and the uses under the master plan amendment, but we also want to make sure that it is not snuck under the rug under an administrative approval. That is crucial for the long-term health of our community. So that's what I ask that you do today. Thank you for your time.
Those are the cards.
Okay, we also, there were several people who submitted cards who did not want to speak. We'll just read them into the record. Jairus Goss of Loxahatchee. How can conservation goals coexist with construction and development? How do we reconcile investing billions to restore and protect Florida's water systems while also approving projects that increase demand on those same systems? Are our policies pointing in the same direction? Are the current standards adequate for projects like this? Next card is Heidi Rabinowitz, who is opposed. Hyperscale AI data centers lower property values and raise costs of living for neighbors. Constant noise, including low frequency vibration, air, water pollution, overuse of water, electricity, makes life basically unlivable in the region. AI data centers also pose a risk of dangerous batteries near housing, schools. One purpose of AI data centers is to store extensive data on private individuals to create a police state against American values, which should not be supported in the land of the free. Matthew Ransom of Delray Beach opposes, does not wish to speak. The persistent disturbing noise of a data center is detrimental to human and wildlife, even if it's not above a regulated volume. AI data centers are not something we need. They are being imposed on us as a tool of surveillance, a method of attaining private information for commercial exploitation, and infrastructure for social control. Yes, we had one other card by Sue Ellen Loisel, but she actually spoke. That concludes all the cards and all the speakers' requests. So at this point, I think turn to the applicant to see if they want to present rebuttal.
Thank you for your time today. I wanted to just point out the ownership on the map, because I know there was some discussion earlier about that. And so if you're looking at the draft site plan to your right, the 5 buildings at the top, that's land that's owned by PBA Holdings, Inc., where we are proposing the additional square footage of warehouse. That's up at the top. Below that, if you see existing approval not included in this application, that is the 60 acres that is owned by WPB Logistics. The application makes no changes to that property. Makes no changes to that property that's referenced, and so that is excluded from the request that's being made to add additional square footage. The area that's in kind of gray, that is the area that's owned by PBA Holdings. That is also not proposed for change here. The area to the right, you can see the 4 buildings to the right, that's owned by PBA Holdings. So I just wanted to point out, relative to Ms. Dewey's comments, there is current litigation pending in the Circuit Court of Palm Beach County. They filed a complaint. We have filed a motion to dismiss. The claims between those 2 parties will be handled before a Circuit Court judge, not before this body. And so as you look at what's before you today, it's the amendment to the development order and the amendment to the master plan. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I thought just before, I've only got a few things I'm going to respond to, but I thought if there are questions that you may have for me, that'd probably be a good use of our time.
So could you actually just recap, Mr. Cox, what part of the property is owned by Ms. Dewey's clients again?
It is the 60 acres in the middle where it says existing approval, not included in this application. And to give you a sense, it's kind of the light gray in the middle that runs across. You can see the, what looks like two cul-de-sacs looking north-south. Comes right up to that road, and then it goes down to the darker gray. That 60 acres currently has site plan approval for one 1.2 million square foot warehouse building. You heard earlier that Ms. Dewey's clients are proposing to change that. That is not before you, and we don't have any input on that. But that's the 60 acres. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Just again, thought it would be helpful because it's always hard to who owns what. And PBA Holdings, Inc. owns everything except for that 60 acres and except for, you see the roadway coming in from State Road 80 and the roundabout, and then it curves up, and then you have the road that's got two cul-de-sacs at the end of it, and then the big pond in the lower right. That 15 acres is owned by the Central Park Commerce Center Master Association. That's the access and the main drainage system, which is owned by the association. There are two members of the association, PBA Holdings, Inc., and WPB Logistics. That's also not before you today. So what's before you today is the land that's owned by PBA Holdings, Inc. So I just, if you all have any other questions, I might be able to answer. Happy to do my best.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Any information on it's been mentioned a lot, the low frequency noise mitigation?
Yes, we actually there was a letter that was written by the school board raising some concerns about the project, and so we actually put together a very detailed health and safety assessment done by some international experts. That was then we wrote a letter back to the school board explaining that the output that based upon the design of the facility, the fans, the building that would hold the cooling equipment, that there would not be a low frequency noise problem with the site. And that was then submitted to the county and included in the package. So it's in there. It's a school board letter, and it's got 50 or 60 page report attached to it. And I'm not the expert on that issue, but the experts that did look at it, the issue on low frequency noise typically comes from inefficient equipment that causes that noise output. And so there's a much more detailed knowledge that I have, but it's in the materials that have been provided, is that how the DBA and the DBC and the ratio, and what it comes down to is there are ways to design facilities to reduce or eliminate that low frequency noise. And so that's the design that's in there, and the conditions that have been provided. We'll have to submit a final engineering report before we pull building permits to address that issue.
Okay, thank you.
I know we're ready for discussion. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready to.
So, is he done with his answer? No, we can still ask questions, or. So, Mr. Cox, attached to the application was, I think, the sound study. I don't know if you can put that up there. There was a map that was referred to by some of the opposition. Yeah, I think it's something like that. There was another one similar, but that's basically the concept. Can you explain that, or is that?
Yeah, this is, and this is just one page out of that sound assessment study. We did a preliminary sound assessment study and provided it. We also did additional data gathering further south. And what this is the report explains in more detail, but this is a model that looks at the equipment that's been designed, the configuration of the buildings and where that sound is going to be sent. And the reason that it moves to the west is because the design of the system is to push the sound towards the power plant as opposed to push the sound towards the neighborhood. And so if you look at the three white buildings in the lower right, those are the ones that are about 2,350 feet away from the school. Those buildings are concrete buildings with insulation full of computers. So if you go in the building, think about racks and racks and racks of computers. It's all that's in that building, with a small office area for the people that are keeping an eye on the computers. The cooling equipment for those three buildings is located in the minor utility buildings to the west. See where that 60 is? So those are going to be buildings that include chillers and pumps and the closed-loop cooling system that brings the water into the computers and then brings the water back in to those buildings. Those buildings will have fans on the roof. And so there is a mixture of closed-loop water, like a radiator, and then the fan on the roof to helping to cool that water. And again, we're not talking about ice-cold water. We're just talking about cooler water that's pulling the heat out of the chips. And so the noise right by those will be about 60, but it's further west and it's buffered by the buildings. And then if you go up to the north, where you see the 60 again, those buildings are the two-story buildings right next to the power plant. And so this is modeling the noise that is expected from those buildings, and then what's its impact going to be going west with the power plant.
I think, from what I recall, Mr. Eubanks, I think he acknowledged that had been provided. I think the question that I heard from him was, they didn't see the supporting calculations or work for those projections. Do you have? I don't recall if it's in your report or not.
The report explains the methodology. It explains the equipment that's used. It explains how that's done, and that information relied upon by the experts that came up with that report. We've provided that report to him, and we've provided the other one, and then there's also additional data and analysis that's included in the health and safety report, which has been provided and is part of the package for today's meeting.
Point of order, can I make a comment back on that? What we were looking at is exactly what staff said. We don't have the methodology. I'm sorry? Yeah. So, no, I just want to get a quick rebuttal on that because we don't have the background methodology. And actually, if you look at everything you were given this morning, it details exactly what's missing. Staff says, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this, and we need to have it, oh, by the way, signed by somebody who's action engineer in Florida, and they go through what they're missing. That's the stuff we're missing too.
What are you referring to, though, when the staff says we're missing this?
Here, today's what I was looking at, let's see if I can find it. The amended staff report itself is what I was referring to.
Amendments to the agenda, the added conditions of approval, I believe is what he's
correct.
referring to.
That is correct. And
those were the same conditions that were on the December 10th BCC agenda.
Actually, I'm surprised because they're in red. They should have just been that this is already in there. Anyways, but it says the applicant property owner shall submit, that means we don't have it yet, a noise impact assessment signed and certified by a professional engineer. Okay, that means they don't have it. NIA is the document that will provide systematic evaluation. Methodologies that must be included in the assessment include and then they have a whole paragraph of what you're supposed to include. How do we have our own sound experts. They're saying, oh, I'm betting when we get this, we're going to have fun with it because it's not going to be what they say it is. So here we have an amendment that says this is what you're going to need. Then it seems to say, but don't worry about it, we'll do it through the DRO. The problem with that is that's why we were sitting there going, look, that's a due process issue. If this is one of the requirements you need and you don't have it and you're going to go ahead and need to have it presented, then we get a shot at it. We get a shot to take it to our people and go and say, hey, are they right? Are they wrong? Or where are they fudging? And that's the part that we're missing. And that's why we said, look, if you're sitting here today, the competent substantial evidence is missing. It's got a big hole in it that we haven't been able to at least have a chance to look at it and do our own assessment, other than just having somebody come in and say, trust us, our experts say it's good. And we get a chance to look at it as well.
May I respond?
Sure.
Yeah. So this was the proposed condition that was at the county commission in December. We did provide the study, the preliminary noise impact assessment, which is here, was provided to the county staff, and it does include that information. Mr. Eubanks has had a chance to look at it. We've provided our piece. What the county staff is requiring is it has to now be done again. So we've already done it, and we've submitted it, and that's here for the purpose of the development order amendment. And then there has to be another submittal, which will incorporate all of this. It's in the conditions of approval, which has to be done. And then it has to be done again at the building permit stage. So if you think about the land use approval process, comprehensive plan, that's already done. Zoning, that's already done. Master plan, done for 2,020,000 square feet. Here today, requesting an additional 1.5 million square feet for the master plan, of which a little over 1.1 million of that is the additional warehouse that I pointed out. And those are the conditions of approval, just like all master plan conditions that have to be complied with. And so we're at the stage of recommendation. Staff's recommendation is not just approve the application. Staff's recommendation is to approve the application subject to meeting all the conditions, which is where we are at this stage of the approval process.
I think the issue for us is, and I understand that I was reading through this, what Ms. Hernandez referred to when you were reading from. I think the fundamental issue for us is whether the proposed AI data center constitutes light industrial or heavy industrial use per the policy that I originally started off with. That I understand that these economic development units, you can have light industrial uses in those units. You cannot have heavy industrial, and I think that's what the issue is before us at the moment, to determine whether, based on the evidence presented, it's one or the other. I understand but I appreciate your point. I understand what Mr. Eubanks was saying, but I understand what you said as well, Mr. Cox, regarding this is a preliminary.
One other point of clarification, for the sound studies that we have access to, what we have is the methodology used to study the current levels of sound that you've done with your sound experts to test current levels. I don't think we have the methodology, the inputs, and the modeling used to create this chart, which is the predictive study that would show what the impacts of this data center would be in the surrounding environment. And that's, I think, what Mr. Eubanks was referring to.
Okay. I guess the fundamental concern for us, we're going to have to make a decision on this based upon. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So, in my opinion, laws are always a little slower than the technology when it's referred to in technology. Sorry. Laws are always a little slower than the technology when they're overseeing like legislation or law, and it gets a little confusing. And then they're also asking the legislatures, the people making ordinances or things, to become experts in technology. In my opinion, if you would have asked me in 2016 if I thought a data center's definition in 2016 would be what it is today, I don't necessarily think that I would be thinking those terms. I also think that this, in my opinion, hasn't satisfied some of the requirements that we need to vote yes or no. I don't think the noise or some of the environmental issues has been presented to us with proper intention to satisfy what they're asking us to do right now, as of now. I also think that I echo what you're saying in regards to the definition of whether this, whatever this is light industrial or heavy industrial. And so I do question that definition in the zoning in front of us. And I just wanted to put that on the record, that I don't think that's satisfied.
Can I ask a question of staff? Thank you.
Were there any more questions for me? I just wanted to maybe close. If there's a question, happy to answer that first, and then two, I just had a couple of very minor comments
That's why I was asking
to close. So I didn't know if you guys have any questions for me.
Mr. Cox.
No, okay, then let me finish. I just wanted to see if there are any questions. So I go back to where we are in the process, and we've submitted the material that's been requested. We've submitted the additional material that's been requested. Our position is that, as designed and as contemplated, the data and information processing use, it's still what it was in 2016. It's buildings full of computers. It's buildings full of computers. And in 2016, the cooling equipment that would have been used would have certainly been outside and chillers. So as the computer chips have become more technology advanced and stronger, the cooling equipment has also advanced. And so fundamentally, it's a data and information processing has been determined by the county, the authority that has the authority to make that interpretation. And we're here today with the laws that exist today. We made an application based upon the comprehensive plan. We made an application based upon the land development code, made an application based upon the interpretations, and this project has been evolving as we've gone over the last 10 years. And so we're asking you today to make the recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to approve it. If you believe there should be additional conditions that they should consider, we'll certainly take those into consideration, and appreciate very much your time today.
Okay. I always go to the matrix first. So, under the industrial uses, data and information processing is a permitted by right use in industrial light. Is that correct? Someone needs to dig out their code. No, I'm asking staff. I'm asking staff, sir, please sit down. I'm asking staff, experts, right now. Thank you.
So, data information and processing is under the heading of light industrial uses, and it is permitted in the industrial land use with IL or IG zoning, and it is permitted in the MUPD zoning district with an industrial future land use or an EDC future land use.
So
But with that said, they still have to do a site plan approval because of the master plan.
So any project coming in wouldn't just need a DRO approval for their change of use?
So if they didn't have a site plan approved, they would have to get a site plan approved because of it being a master planned development. EDC only requires a master plan by the Board of County
No, I meant
Commissioners.
Any of the properties in Palm Beach County with an industrial light use with the accompanying future land use to it, would that just be a DRO approval, or would that be, I mean, it's permitted by right, right?
So it's permitted by right, and then there's also a threshold table in Article 4 as well. So if it was less than 20,000 square feet, proposed data information and processing with an IL or IG zoning classification with industrial flu, if it's permitted, it would be allowed up to 19,999 by right. We would review it through building permit and compliance with all the ULDC and comprehensive plan. If it was over 20,000, or it was 20,000 to 100,000, it would be an administrative approval, and then anything over the 100,000 would be a Board of County Commissioner approval.
So any
There's thresholds on the square footages.
Right. And could you or one of the staff there read the definition of data and information processing so that we understand what this application is coming in as? It's page 93.
Okay, an establishment for business offices of an industrial nature, including corporate centers associated with uses such as manufacturing and processing plants or similar industrial complexes, mass bulk mail processing and telemarketing centers. The use is often integrated into a campus-style development and not frequented by the general public. This term does not include such uses as business or professional offices, computer-related retail sales establishment, and personal services and medical or dental offices.
Thank you. And I would just like to ask council, we have a lot of competent, substantial evidence on the record submitted by experts in writing, submitted by the applicant, included in the staff report, included in public comment during the staff report and afterwards. Can you explain to the board what happens with our discretion when we have competing competent, substantial evidence?
Sure. So competing competent, substantial evidence, if you have competent, substantial evidence for one side and for the other, it's your discretion to choose which one you think is more appropriate.
Thank you.
Can we have comments? We're discussing this? Okay. Oh, well. Wow. Economic Development Center. Many years ago, I remember we created that. We thought there were going to be a whole bunch of jobs there, and there was going to be a problem with the Southern Boulevard and a whole lot of traffic. And now we come to this. This is totally different. Yes. In December, at this meeting, I see that you did the staff did add a few comments from the zoning commission and the vote, but also to continue with that, I'm stating here that Commissioners Kennedy, Mendoza, Vinacore, Pavlik, and Kammerer expressed concerns about noise, water uses, Applicant not reaching out to Arden community, sound wall, and compatibility with surrounding areas. So we really had issues with this, and since then we've gotten quite a bit of information. And that is a lot of information. Now, I was a scientist before I became a physician, okay? And I understand about theories and empirical data. The theory is, theoretically, I say that, a server farm, AI, data center, it's all communication. It's all communication. So I can see where people might think, well, it's all communication, so why shouldn't we use the same rules for both? Well, natural gas power plant, a hydroelectric power plant, a nuclear power plant, it's all power. It gives us all electricity. But there are different rules about putting communities next to nuclear power plants. And this, I do believe we've had enough substantial evidence, competent substantial evidence from experts, and it is compelling to me to hear this. I do believe the code needs to be revised before any of this should move forward. But not just land use, another land use code for this particular use of the AI center. We have heard, it's in the newspaper, the legislature is dealing with it. We all read the newspaper. We hear that municipalities and other counties have issues with this. They put moratoriums on these AI centers in order to study it more. It does need more study. It can use more empirical data. I would like to see more empirical data, how this really would hurt or help the community. Right now, I feel something like this does not belong very close to people living in homes or schools. And I do believe the building code is going to need to be addressed as well. We're going to have to make changes to the building code for a development such as this. So I cannot, in good conscience, approve this. When the motion comes, I'm going to recommend denial.
I would like to say that this has been a very intense meeting between two universes. That one universe see one thing and the other universe see another one, and it's impossible to get any close. I agree completely with you. The code needs to be revised because, as one of the residents said, this is the opportunity to build the same thing everywhere. I think that we have enough information to make a decision, but the idea is to put everybody like in the same place, in the same line. Thank you.
Let me just say, I think the issue for me is, again, getting back to what I started with, is this truly a light industrial use which would be acceptable, or is it heavy industrial? And unfortunately, I don't think we have enough information for us to be able to make that decision. Look, if this was truly light industrial, and the studies show that going forward, then that means there's not an effect on the surrounding neighborhood. The contemplation under the code, as I understand it, though, is if there is an effect on the surrounding neighborhood through noise, etc., then that would fall under the category of heavy industrial use. And I think that's where we are. And to Mr. Cox's, the applicant's I'm not suggesting that they don't fall under that. I just don't know yet. They may well, or they may not. And I assume that if they did fall within that, then a lot of the neighbors' concerns are going to be addressed. But that's the real issue for us, the dilemma for us.
Mr. Chair, I move to recommend denial of item 7A and find that there is competent substantial evidence presented in writing and here at the hearing that the project fails to meet the county's standards, including consistency with the comprehensive plan, consistency with the ULDC, compatibility with the surrounding uses, design minimizing adverse impact, design minimizing environmental impact, and adequate public facilities. And those are items A, B, C, D, E, and G on the standards.
I'll second.
I
the motion.
second.
Oh, well, that's okay. You can have it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Well, then your motion passes.
Okay. Thank you. I guess I could inform the interested parties that are here that the next step is the hearing for the Board of County Commissioners, and that will be on July 15th. It is the only item on the agenda, so that'll be the next hearing, and that's downtown 301 North Olive.
So, okay, the next item on the agenda, comments by the county attorney? None? Planning director?
None.
None?
Nothing for me either.
Nothing?
Whitney, Carol?
Any,
Well, PZB?
anybody else have any comments?
No.
No? Okay.
Then we're adjourned.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
We're adjourned.
Happy 4th of July.
Yeah,
no?
enjoy that.